Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
Why is it so spicy? What happened?
Good evening, Malcontent. I am the Malcontent. It is Thursday, August 12th, 2021.
Why is it so spicy? What happened? The forecast, the models, they were all right this morning. It all just went to complete shit. Like around noon today, the models just, when I looked at them at lunchtime, I'm like, oh, good Lord.
All right. First, my internet isn't going to like this stream. Well, shame on you, internet. All right, Malcontents, how everybody doing? There is a lot to cover tonight. I've had a frustrating day tonight. I basically spent the day today in IT hell with technical support between a partner and a pass-through, a client company, trying to get on their network. This was like literally beyond 45 minutes for lunch and being in two meetings, which actually were productive. This was my day up until 5:01. And I'm not still fully on the network. I'm hating technology right now. I will say it's really secure. It's really secure. It's just trying to get onto stuff.
Pam, are you sounding like Mrs. Dr. Girlfriend from the Venture Brothers?
I love the Venture Brothers. I'm so excited there's going to be a movie. There's so much to talk about. It's one of these nights where it's like, I don't know where to start because there's so much to talk about. But I guess what we'll do is we'll start talking about
why is this so spicy?
And we will go into that here. So here we'll go. We'll go back to the other one. We'll go to this one. All right, so there's the AQI. I can go ahead and zoom that in a little bit for you. There you go. Now you probably see it a little better. So the AQI right now is 127. You said it was going to be 50 to 70. I know. I put in the forecast. I know I said 50 to 70 and 60 to 90 for the overnight tonight. I know what I said. A couple of things that have just happened. There is a fire that's burning close to Yakima. It's a real smoke maker. That is pulling in a little more smoke from the south. And the flow that we got from the north was a lot stronger than what the forecast models showed this morning. When I woke up this morning, candidly, I opened my eyes and I'm like, light's really filtered. And then I looked and I was like, oh, it looks like it's cloudy out. It's like it wasn't supposed to be this gnarly at this time in the morning. And I noticed there was some haze as I went and looked across this chat is like 70% mods. Gross. It is? No, not at all. There are 2 mods chatting. Like, seriously, there's 2 mods in the chat. Oh, that's really gross. I'm just scrolling back. And yeah, there's only 2 mods in the chat. So what's going to go on here? Well, we're at 127. It's going to continue to go downhill. Smoke always gets worse as the sun goes down, and then you get to go into the evening. So smoke always gets bad. So I know that the models were like, this is going to be about the basement. If we're already at 120, and by the way, airnow.gov is the one that I trust. If this is where we're at now, I suspect that we will continue to drop through the evening. And I think that this tomorrow forecast where they're showing it'll be unhealthy for sensitive groups. I think that's optimistic. I know that I put on our Facebook page and our Twitter in an update, I think we're going to be around 140 to 160 tomorrow. I think we're going to be right on that line for unhealthy. I noticed this evening because I had to do some outside work after the real job for a couple of hours. And when I finished up, I was like, I can just start to smell it. So I wasn't surprised when I saw the one, because generally in the orange, that's when you can kind of go outside and go, it smells like we're in a barbecue cooker. So that is a combination of burning British Columbia, burning Eastern Washington, burning Oregon, and burning California that you're sucking in there tonight. Anyway, this is what the current, see, it could be worse. You could be out here in the eastern part of the state where it's really bad. That's where we're at. And then if I click on this, we have the interactive map, if it'll load. Zoom. There we go. Extreme zooming in and out. And there's a forecast tab. So I can do the forecast. And as you can see, we're in the soup for today. And then if I do the forecast for tomorrow, we're in the soup tomorrow. So, and these areas between the soup, they're not in the soup. Yeah, because it's not measuring the water is. That's all. We could move on to the air quality, which is shit. Yeah, it's going to be shit. So is there any good news? There is some good news. The shitty air quality means it won't be 100 degrees tomorrow, Seattle. Malcontent News is a team of journalists. Oh, I just hit the wrong thing. Gosh darn it. Oh, now it's too late to do the joke. All right. Where the hell's the... There's no ticker? Where's the ticker? There's the ticker. Sorry about that. It's not going to be 100 degrees tomorrow because we'll have this nice blanket of smoke. The other thing is that it's not going to get too cool tonight because the smoke's going to act like a blanket. The smoke acted like a blanket last night. Last night we were supposed to get like 63-ish, so low to mid 60s. It was still supposed to be at least a little comfortable. SeaTac only got to 69. I don't know if that was I didn't have time to look it up today. Work was nuts. I don't know if that was a record maximum low, if that makes sense. 69 degrees has a really, really good crack at, we said, a record maximum low. this morning to just drop at 69. We will probably 69.
He said 69. Yeah. That's a funny joke, butthead.
I think we're going to struggle to get below 70 degrees tonight. I don't know what's the current temperature at KSEA. I didn't look and see what the unofficial high was. Again, I've been busy today. It's been a busy day. Let's see. Unofficial high is 93. That's the unofficial. It'll be in the books tomorrow morning. Let's see. We're at 87. At the same time yesterday, we were at 83, 5 degrees warmer, 4 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. We're going to struggle to get to 70. We're totally going to struggle to get to 70 today. I guess 95 better than 100, isn't it? A little. So, Mike Liddell's freak show in South Dakota. Has anybody been following that at all? I've been real busy with the real job. Like the real job is nuts, which is a good thing. So I don't know if people have been replying to it. It's not an N95, it's K9. Yeah, N95, K95 is what work with smoke. A cloth mask won't work with smoke at all. And like a wet cloth is kind of better than nothing, but because what the wet does, the smoke particles are dry, unlike, say, a COVID particle, which even if it's aerosolized, it is dependent upon the moisture in the air to carry that. This is why during, I'm not carry it, this is why the mask, because it has this little micro bubble of moisture around the outside of the virus when it's flowing down. This is why in the wintertime when the air is drier, flu colds go up because they can hang in the air longer because the air is drier. Anyway, neither here nor there. KN95, N95 mask, that's what stops smoke because the PM2.5 particles are actually, compared to a virus, they're massive and they get trapped in that. In the case of a cloth mask, they go right through. The danger of PM2.5 is the smoke particles get trapped in your lungs. You do not expel them out. They are accumulative over time, over days, months, years. And if we continue to have these summers where, tomorrow it'll be outside, it'll be like smoking maybe 6-8 cigarettes for the day, maybe not that bad, maybe 5-7 cigarettes for the day. But if we continue to have summers like this and people go out without masks and we have weeks on end, like we had days last summer, it was like smoking a pack of cigarettes if we were outside. It accumulates. And the thing is that lung damage is really insidious. Your body really compensates lung damage. And you don't go, wow, I'm out of breath all the time. And, and you're going to the doctor and, oh, you need the rescue inhaler and you got COPD or whatever. You don't get to that point until there's actually really significant lung damage. And once you get to that point, it's not good, right? You're in that point then of dragging the oxygen bottle around. So, okay, the symposium, back to this. I just saw the talk about the mask, so and that's enough about smoke. Oh my God, the symposium. Okay, so on day one, apparently Mike Lindell, it was like, he was being told, it's time for lunch, Mike. It's time. And Mike did not like this. Mike got very upset. We're not breaking for lunch. I'm staying up for 72 hours. We're just going to keep going. And the thing that is hysterical is as he is saying this, the facilitators of this event are announcing over him, there's this woman's disembodied voice that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for lunch and it is being served and I'm like, this is just surreal. So fast forward. Remember, this is all streamed. Hundreds of thousands of people watch this. It was on OAN. And then I never said that. They're lying. They never said that. But that's not the shit show. Here's the shit show that came out of the symposium if you're not watching it. If you remember, Mike Lindell said, anybody can prove that I got a nothing burger,
$5 million. That's how confident I am. $5 million. I'll give you $5 million. You prove I got a nothing burger. And I'll also throw in 2 of my patented My Pillows, the most comfortable, amazing pillow that you will ever buy in your life. And because my business is so bad, because I'm tanking my own business, I'll sell them to you for $29.98. That is the lowest price we ever had, and I will throw in free pillowcases. I literally saw an ad, by the way. He has slashed the price to $29.98, despite the fact that there is a massive foam shortage. So they finally gave data to experts for them to analyze. They've been waiting for this, and including some of his own experts. And his own experts looked at it, and in a story in the Washington Times, Chuds, not the Washington Post, the Washington Times, which is on par with Newsmax, Washington Examiner. It gives them the data, and they're like, Mike, you got nothing. Mike, you got nothing. There's nothing here. This doesn't prove a thing. We'd like to talk to you about that $5 million. No. Pulled the $5 million off the table Wednesday night. No $5 million. Then he doubled down and denied he ever said the 72 hours thing. Today, the reports are, including from people that are reporting that would be in Lindell's camp, that there was maybe half the people that were there on Tuesday. Mike Lindell made this batshit thing that he was physically attacked last night and physically injured from the attack, but he's fully operational and nobody saw him outside of the hotel. And it's just such a shit show. And it's ended as I thought it would, with a complete whimper, and Donald Trump not going to be president tomorrow. And here's what the true believers are saying. They moved the date to September 18th. It's all part of the plan. A Narcan kit with a button that says you carry. Oh, wow. Catherine, that's cool. We're talking about Narcan. What's going on here? 30 to get your opioids in and out. Whoa, really? We should do it. We should do like a show on this. Hey, KDW, Kevin David Williams. Hey, KDW, can you send that to that info to tips@malcontentment.com? Very serious. Can you send that to tips@malcontentment.com? This would be a great thing to do a story on. Love it. They're terrible pillows if anyone is curious. I'm really out of the loop on the My Pillow Guys news. Seriously, this is what they're saying. It's all part of the plan. Now it's September 18th. I sent my elderly cat out to beat up the My Pillow guy. It's just I knew it was going to be bad. I knew this thing was going to be bad in South Dakota. I just didn't know it was going to be this bad. That's what I didn't know. All right, next thing we're going to move to is COVID. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about in COVID. We're going to go ahead and we are going to talk about local COVID. And there's something going on with the numbers. And Washington State, I'm talking to you. It's kind of no bueno. So, and I'm going to show you what's happened here with the numbers. Sorry about that. I pulled the wrong thing. Okay, so here's the data that came out about 4 o'clock this afternoon. And so you have the, where's the date? There it is. Here's your information on the update of the date, August 11th. So this is as of yesterday, essentially midnight. We are now up to 302.7 cases per 100,000. Yesterday, we were at 286. 2.4. Now we're at 302.7. It's getting worse. Yes, I know they have the little footnote up here about, they don't have all of the that this is through July 22 through August 4. So keep in mind, this is still trailing because today is the 12th. So this is the 7-day moving average that they're showing. The numbers are actually, today's numbers are actually worse. Yeah, Garfield's in the club. Garfield in the house. They flip back and forth to being in the house. They got 2 cases. So they've joined. They're at 89.9. Skamina County is at 106.4. Franklin County is up to 929.1 cases per 100,000. Way to go, Franklin. Way to represent. Way to own the libs. I know the state of Washington, you don't want me saying shit like that. It's so hard not to say shit like that. Benton County, come on, Benton County, you could do better. Franklin County's doing it right. 834.2. How about here in King County? 234. King County, we're now up to 234.9. Pierce County's at 355.4. Remember when they were lamenting that Pierce County might get rolled back to phase 2 back in early June, late May? Yeah, they weren't this high back then. Snohomish County's at 254.8. Remember, this is through August 4. This isn't through today. Today's numbers are worse. Kitsap. Let's see if I remember my geography here. It's a little hard because they don't show the sound of where Puget Sound is. There's Kitsap County. Kitsap County, you're right under 200. 199.9. Clark County, they're at 243.2. Out here, Spokane County, they're at 355.5. And San Juan County, they're usually the overachievers on this. They're, Rashid be a strawberry. They're at 103.8. And for the populated counties, they're the ones that are going to be in the best shape, the best number. So it's not good. All right. Now, I want to show you something here. Whoa, we went down to 6.2. This is the thing where it's like, look, if you want to build trust with people, if you want to have people understand the severity of the situation, you can't do stuff like this. This is from July 22 through July 28. That's what we're looking at here in the numbers. This data is from July 22 to July 28. It's 1 week of data, and it is more than 2 weeks ago. It's 15 days ago. So this chart is useless. We don't know what the positivity is, but we do know, because this number's gone up so much, and we do know when we see 834, 929, let's see, 3 to 1. Where's Ferry County at? I always have a hard time finding Ferry. Here, Ferry County. Actually, Ferry County's not doing too bad in the big scheme of things. 278. Penn Orel out here in the hinterlands is at 267. Atherton County, way to go. 406. Way to represent. Oh, Columbia County, 718. 716. Jesus Christ. All right, so we've beat that into the ground. We're now up to 10.2% of patients in the hospital for acute care, so not ICU. 10.2% of those patients have COVID. This number is skyrocketing. This is the first time it's gone over 10.2%. And remember, we're not to our peak yet. We haven't hit the spike yet. It's just starting. North Central, the central part is 12.2. South Central, almost one in 5 patients are COVID positive in the hospital. Down here, Southwest, they're at 13.0. Pierce County out to the ocean, 13.6. King County's doing better at 7.5%. North, that includes up here, includes Snohomish County. Northwest is 8.1. Out here in the entire eastern half of the state, right at 10%. Totally good idea. We could totally solve this by sending all those kids back to school. It's a great idea, isn't it? There is some good news. Yesterday we had 194 ICU beds. Today we have 197. 3 ICU beds are freed up. I know. the NFL games and Lollapalooza and Sturgis, and I'm just telling you the numbers, y'all. You can tell I'm just like I give up. So ICU beds, King County's at 86%. So out of 463 ICU beds, only 65 are empty now in King County for 2.7 million people. They're down to 65. We're down to 65 ICU beds. This is current data yesterday. Did I pronounce it wrong? Acetin. I know. Is it azotin? Acetine? I speak perfect bad English. Perfect American. Down here where Pierce County is, they've got, and also then out to the ocean, they got less than 30 ICU beds left. Come out here to the eastern part of the state, they're at 76.5, in part because they've been sending people to Oregon. They have 20-ish beds left. Down here in the southwest where this is really bad, they've got 8 beds left. 8. This north central area has got 3 beds left, but they don't have a lot to begin with in the first place. From the King County line all the way up to Canada, 30 ICU beds left. And then out here, basically on the Olympic Peninsula, you've got 13 beds left. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Acetin. Their ass is there because of COVID numbers. Look at these numbers. 406.4. Almost 20% of the people in the ICU have COVID. 236 people have COVID in the ICU. 14.5%. Look at this, West. 1 in 4 patients in the ICU in the West. This number is supposed to be under 10%, to just give you an idea of where we're at. So Pierce County out to the sea. North, almost all, 1 in 4. I guess it's closer to 1 in 4 and 1 in 3. Northwest, basically 1 in 4. 1 in 4. Here's about 1 in 5. 1 in 5. And here's about 1 in 10. And again, in part because they're sending some people, they're sending people out. Numbers are terrible. That's the bottom line. This here, yeah. July 22 through July 28, you might as well just not have updated it. And the other thing is like I know that they have this thing here, negative test result data from July 30 are incomplete because they're so far behind because so many tests are coming in. I get it. I don't know. If they don't have the data, they can't see the positivity rate, then how can they make the decisions themselves? And it doesn't build trust. All right, let's see. We've talked about weather. We talked about smoke. We talked about the Mike Lindell freak show. We've talked about the COVID numbers. Murder Hornet founded Blaine today. The murder hornet was killing paper wasps. It was going after paper. I associate paper wasps with white-faced hornets. So it was going after paper wasps. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like, way to go, murder hornet. You take them suckers out, and then we'll take you out. Yes, the murder hornets are back. There is I'm not political, been leaning more left these days. I'm tired of the MAGA psychos. It's oh my goodness. It's just so bad. It's just so friggin' bad. Like I'm looking at what's going on in Texas and with Greg Abbott, right? And what are they? They're focusing on before they get to gerrymander the state for their 2 new seats. Want to make it really hard for people to vote in that state because Texas has joined now 6 other states or territories where, are you ready for this? Whites are the minority. Whites are outnumbered in Texas now. There are more Hispanic people in Texas than there are white people. Same thing in Nevada, same thing in New Mexico, same thing in California. Interestingly, Maryland? What? Maryland? But apparently. So yes, as people know, I don't say it to be disrespectful, but yes, in Texas, we got to keep them scared brown people down because we've treated them like shit since like before Texas was a country. And they might want some payback. We got to keep this state red. So the best way to keep that state red is to gerrymander the hell out of this fucker. Don't let them vote. Anyway, Greg Abbott's more fixated on that than reinforcing this electrical grid. Reminder, people in Texas, you really don't want COVID because you need electricity to run the ventilators, and ERCOT seems to have a problem with keeping the power on when it's hot or cold outside. So ventilators need electricity to run. It depends, Ursine. It depends. They are still a majority of a Democratic bloc. If you're in South Florida, like all the Cubans down there, they're hardcore Republicans. And I've read some stuff that's explained why that makes sense to me. I want to talk about, though, what's going on in the South. So I'm always like say, all right, let's adjust our tinfoil hats. We're going to adjust our virtual tinfoil hats here. But people have been longtime malcontents. Whenever I say I'm going to adjust, actually I have two things I'm going to talk about because they're going to do I told you so on the tinfoil hat thing tonight also. Whenever I adjust the tinfoil hat thing, you know that I'm going to lay something that, look, I'm not going down like some Q rabbit hole, but it's kind of like, all right, it's a theory. It's a little conspiratory, but people that watch know I'm pretty good. My numbers are pretty solid on this. So here is my theory why in Texas, Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, why these states down in the South, they want to send kids to school with no masks. And we have, like in states in Texas and Florida that are taking people's paychecks away, threatening legal action, threatening to take away school funding. You have some school districts defying, but you have a lot of school districts that even when they wanted to do it are like, nope, not going to do it. And of course, what you've got is voters within that block that are going, this is my, this is an affront. This is like the Nazis. I'm Jewish. My brain cells and capillaries in my brains explode when people say that. Here's my theory. They want it. Why are they? Obviously, they want it because they're fighting so hard for it. Why? Well, let's look at what Ted Cruz did in Texas, right? Because Ted Cruz is a hardcore anti-masker. So what Ted Cruz did is he put his kids in private school. And guess, anybody in the comments want to drop in the comments? Anybody want to drop in the comments? The private school, what's their mask policy for Ted Cruz kids? Anyone put it in there? Put it in there. I'll give you a minute because I know it takes a few seconds for the comment to catch up. So Ted Cruz has put his kids into private school in Texas. What do you think the mask policy? Yes, Dora wins. Mandatory masks. Here's what I think's going on. Oh no, Roger, masks allowed. At the private school that he's going, they're mandatory. Yep. Ted Cruz's kids are going to a school with mandatory masks. Private school with mandatory masks. Yep. Pulled them out, put them in the school. Well, I'm going to get into why he's not doing it. They have a plan. I firmly believe they have a plan. And this is what I think their plan is. Families that are, whether they're liberal or across the political spectrum, families that have means, families that have money, or families that have the stay-at-home mom who's got the energy, they're either going to homeschool the kids or they're going to private school the kids. They're going to yank their kids out, and they're going to do that. So then what you have left is poor, lower middle class, middle class. Now, you have within that families that have been convinced that masks are evil, masks are terrible. They're breathing in all their own carbon monoxide. Jesus, just... And we know what's going to happen. Like in Mississippi, there's 1,000 kids already in quarantine. School's been open there a week. You know, I had someone, well, there's 36,000 kids in Mississippi, so that's 1 in 36 in quarantine in the first week. It's awful. And we already know that parents are sending their kids to school with COVID because these stories are out there and it's spreading. And we also know that Delta is slapping on younger people. It slaps hard with the youngsters, where the original didn't, and the Alpha went down the chain a little bit, but not as much. They want to collapse the school systems. That's what they want to do. They want to collapse the school systems. They want these schools to close because of COVID. And that's exactly right. These school reopenings aren't going to work. Of course they're not. And that's what they want. Because then what they're going to say is the public school systems have failed our children, while the private school systems have excelled during this time, providing the children with a superior education with far lower rates of COVID transmission. The liberal policies of the teachers' unions and educators are responsible for this collapse and failure and the deaths of all of these poor, innocent children. And I, as your governor, am going to push to move to a school voucher program so that you could take your school education dollars and put it into the educational institution of your choice, whether that be public or private. And what will happen is that the people who have been watching their children die during this are going to go to the polls and say, save my kids. My theory is they are doing this to purposely collapse the public education system. The reason they want to collapse the public education system, I see the comments are blowing up. The reason they want to collapse the public education system is, as of next year, the majority of students K through high school graduation will be BIPOC. The majority. Right now, 16 and under is majority BIPOC. 17 and under. Right now it's 17 and under, majority BIPOC. Next year it will be 18 and under, majority BIPOC. They're raising the drawbridge. They don't want them to be competitive and get a good education. And that's what I absolutely believe to every fiber of my being is the plan. Because the census data came out. They're being outborn. They can't win. They're being outborn. The BIPOC community are having more kids than people in the white community. Millennials and Gen Z who are white are like, I can't afford to have kids. I'm not going to have kids. I can't even afford it. And so they've written, and I know a ton of people who I would call are elder millennials who I think would be amazing parents. Seriously. I know a few of them, and they have consciously decided not to have kids. It's either an affordability issue or the planet is falling apart and I don't want my kids to have to grow up in the shit show that is going on. And that's what I think is going on. Bingo. Sidewalk connoisseur, you are correct. Save the whiteys. Oh my God, Shelley, that's fantastic. But Erica, if they have all of those vouchers going out, people like billionaire Betsy DeVos, they'll set up the schools. And you know what the worst part of it is when they start setting up these schools, a lot of them are going to give awful educations. They don't want smart people. Smart people think. Smart people question. They're not going to teach the fundamentals of scientific research, the scientific process. They're not going to go let's read the Crucible, and what did you get out of that, and what do you think that it represents? They're not going to do these things. In South Dakota, they have moved to, you can't say erase indigenous history, but what they have done is essentially move to completely whitewash indigenous history. Whitewash it to the point that my question to the state of South Dakota is, why are we even going to bother teaching the bullshit first Thanksgiving story? Because you have literally eliminated the indigenous education programs in South Dakota to that point. A state that, even if you don't like the history, Christy Noem, that has an incredibly rich history, even if you view it through a colonizer white person lens. South Dakota has an incredibly rich history, just as Massachusetts does, with, if you want to look at it through your bullshit colonizer lens, vis-a-vis the Pilgrims showing up, etc. We don't understand why our nation behaves like this either, just a Kiwi girl. We really don't. And they're just going to walk off the cliff. People in this country, I know you're in New Zealand. People in this country vote against their own interests all the time. All the time. And the people, you better believe DeSantis will get reelected. You better believe it. He will. They will vote against their own interests in that state, and they will reelect them. That is the end game. I mean, I keep saying, look at who's buying houses today. The people that are buying houses today are it's banks. 20% of homes being sold in this country are investment properties to be turned into rentals, single family homes. In 2019, it was 6%. Here's the next thing that I'm going to say where I was right. I nailed this. Some of the malcontents, you don't have to been not around too long. You might have remembered 4 or 6 weeks ago, it's out there in a stream, where I was going, right, when we had like Mitch McConnell was going, get vaxxed. Sean Hannity, you got to get vaxxed. Tucker Carlson, was kind of did a thing one night where it's kind of like, you should get vaxxed. Geraldo Rivera got like all on the vax train. Steve Scalise had pictures of himself getting the vax. This guy was like hardcore anti-vax. He was like, go get vaxxed. And I was like, this is so sus. They've all of a sudden gone 180 degrees. And this was 4 or 6 weeks ago. You had the governor of Alabama, go get vaxxed. You had governor of West Virginia, go get vaxxed, please. And I was just like, this is so sus. What's going on? That was 4 to 6 weeks ago. They knew everything about Delta. They knew. They absolutely fucking knew. And they did nothing. And they knew. How do we know they know? Because it had hit the UK before us, and it had tore through India, and at the point that this was coming out, the data was out there. And they knew what it was going to do to these states, and they're worried about 2022. They're worried about 2022, particularly in the districts that were kind of purplish, the ones that were right on the knife's edge, the ones that just went a couple of thousand votes. Because the data's kind of, you're having more and more epidemiologists, doctors, experts, and scientists that are saying, if you are not vaccinated, it is not a if, it is not a maybe. You will catch Delta. And I've said this before, part of the reason it's tearing through the South right now is because it's hot as fuck down there, and they're all in the air conditioning. I'm really worried about what's going to happen here when school starts and then we get into October. Because right now on paper, our peak will probably hit, and the IHME is indicating this, right around the time school starts. And I don't know. It's like, do you have the kids out for a third year in in-person class? And there's no good answer to this. Well, that's part of it, right? We can't hurt the capitalism. I mean, what's the Dow Jones today? I know it was at a record. I looked and I was like, holy shit! It was like at 35.5. What's the Dow Jones up to? What did it close to today? 35.5, almost on the money. 35,499.85. Was 27,000 on election day. And you got money in your 401k, your 401k, you're a happy camper. What's WTI? WTI under $70. So oil's under $70. Pam, they're not going to do a lockdown. They're not going to lock down. Right now, I just want to scream from the roof, at least do a mask mandate. But they're not going to lock down. Washington's not going to lock down. We're not going to do a mask mandate. I'll be so... Maybe we'll do a mask mandate. I just... What I see him doing something is like, we're going to do a strong recommendation and leave it up to the counties. Look, Snohomish County's got a mask mandate. There is another county or city in the state that's gone, we're following. And Snohomish County isn't very liberal. Yeah, it's blue, but the local government in Snohomish County at the county level, it's pretty red up there. I'm very worried about the cooling centers too. I want to talk about Dr. Mrs. Malcontent found the squeaky pig. So yes, this is the squeaky pig. By the way, the 16th is coming up. That's when I earned my squeaky pig. That's a piece of the flashbang grenade that just went off right behind my freaking back. I don't know who grabbed this, but they handed it to me and it was like, here's part of the souvenir. That's from the grenade they threw at you. I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, that's what that is. So if you don't know what the story is with the squeaky pig, right? I think people know what the squeaky pigs are. These were getting handed out in Portland, and there was a time, June, July, into August, you kind of had to earn one of these. They weren't just handed to anybody. Basically you had to be in the shit. And definitely by August, I had moved out from being, I was way out of an activist streamer. I was definitely well into the transformation as a journalist. People were calling me a journalist in August. Thank you, Mike Solon, for labeling me a journalist in September and cementing the deal. And I earned my squeaky pig because things were batshit crazy on 8/16, if people don't remember. Pam, I don't see them lock it down. They got to make their money. So Yoda, the Wonder Pug, who left us on February 28th, Yoda was pretty deaf, but he could hear that. And when he heard it, he would really perk up. He'd be, right. So when the vet came to help Yoda get to his next place, one of the things that I did is I brought the squeaky pig so that he could have something that, I knew he could hear. And it just made him like, ooh, he'd really perk up when he could hear a squeaky pig. After all this went down, the squeaky pig disappeared, and it was missing for months and months and months. And Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent found it this past weekend. Shelly, I still miss him. I still miss him. Courtney, if you're on tonight, thank you so much for my Yoda. Thank you. I haven't seen Courtney on in a long time. I hope she's okay. Love you, Courtney. Not in a creepy way. I know I've done the squeaks before, and there's people in the comments going, stop, you're driving my dog crazy. Anyway, so that's the story behind the squeaky pig. They're not going to shut down at this point. There's no appetite in this country to shut down. Joy, I know, but you know what? They look. I've seen so many videos. They don't believe it until they're in the ICU and they're ready to put the tube down their windpipe. Then that's what. Then they, and some of them even don't at that point. By the way, we talked about David Cruz on Monday. I should have looked before I got on the air. I looked this morning. There wasn't anything from this morning. So let me look. It's loading up. Give me a minute. There hasn't been a video, which I've always said good news travels fast and bad news travels slow. Yeah. Still no video. The last video was his wife appealing for an ECMO machine. That was 4 days ago. You know, the other thing I find really fascinating is in Florida, let's talk about death sentence, governor death sentence down in Florida. A couple of things going on down there with government death sentence. Number one is on Tuesday, state officials said that we've requested 300 ventilators from the national stockpile from the federal government, and because we're getting to the wall here. And Governor Death Sentence was asked by a local TV station, to confirm. He's like, I don't know anything about that, and personally, I don't believe it. Everything is good. It's all under control. Everything's under control. I find it very hard to believe that anybody asked for them. They didn't send the ventilators. Jen Psaki laid that down today because someone got asked. She was asked, and basically they didn't send the ventilators. So I'm going to presume that Governor Death Sentence, put the kibosh on the ventilator ask. That's number one in Florida. Here's the other thing that's going on with Governor Death Sentence, and I'm going to get salty on this. I'm going to get real salty. He has set up a strike team, and they're going to go out and start dosing people in the hardest hit areas in the hospitals with this Regenicon, this drug Regenicon. Do you want to know the really ironic part about this? The irony is, let's put this in the comments. What is one of the number one reasons that anti-vaxxers say they're not going to get it? I won't get the vax because. What is like one of the top reasons? It's probably the top reason. When you ask an anti-vaxxer, why won't you get the vaccine? What's the number one thing they say? Shelley, you're close. You're real close. Boom. Kellen nails it. It's not FDA approved. It is approved. Freedom is number two. Yeah. Experimental, FDA approval, pharma, right? FDA approval. Yeah, exactly. That's what they're saying. It's not FDA approved. It is emergency approved by the FDA. Guess what drug is not FDA approved, that it only has an emergency approval for compassionate use? Does anybody? Yeah, Remdesivir is not FDA approved, and Regenicon is not FDA approved. Oh, wait a minute. And Regeneron, it's Regenicon. I swear to God, Regercon, Regercon, or Regera. I don't know if it's Regericon or Regercon. Regercon is not FDA approved. It is emergency approved. And wait, it gets better. It is made taking convalescent plasma from people who have had COVID and essentially doing some voodoo to it to super concentrate the antibodies. So, these are the same people with the blood drinking Dems and stuff like that. The Dems are blood drinkers. And I'm like, okay, I really, really want to understand this. You won't get the vax that is free because it's not FDA approved. But you will go to the hospital and I want Remdesivir I want Regenicon because Governor Death Sentence says. By the way, a run, the dose is $1,500 for Genicon per dose, and a person might need 4 doses for it to do something. And so you're talking a $6,000 run for 4 doses, and it gets better. You need to have it within about the first 96 hours of symptoms hitting. And here's the next question. What are the anti-vaxxers, the people that don't believe that COVID is real? Are they going to the hospital 3 or 4 days after symptoms show up? No. They're showing up to the hospital in ridiculously bad shape. There's a really sad story out of Oregon where Regeneron? Is it Regeneron? Renamatter. Regeneron, Renamator, Regina, blah. Oh, someone's making money. Somebody's making money. Oh my God. Yes, the eating the horse dewormer thing. Like, oh my God. It hurts my brain. Okay. And again, if you don't get that drug in the first 96 hours, it's essentially useless. The other thing is, there isn't super positive data on it. It's not as useless as ivermectin. It's not as useless as friggin' horse dewormer or a malaria drug, which is just completely useless. It's not as useless as drinking bleach. Don't drink bleach. Don't eat horse dewormer. Don't try to make your own quinine at home and concentrate it, for the love of God. Handfuls of vitamin D don't help. Don't do this shit. There's a story out of Oregon. It is really, really sad. Young couple. They got a 6-month-old. She's 23. I think they're down in Medford. We were told it's a cold. Everybody said it was just a cold. That's literally what he said. I'm like, what do you mean everybody said it was a cold? 95% of doctors and 60% of America have been telling you this is not a cold. Do not fuck around and find out. So you getting your information like from Newsmax and YouTube. If everybody around you told you it was just a cold. Yeah, I'm pissed because this is so preventable. And a kid is almost certainly going to grow up without a mother now over something totally preventable. So they got sick. They both got sick, but it's okay. It's just a cold. 9 days. They toughed it out 9 days. And he got sick. She got really sick. And he didn't decide, I think I need to call 911 until she turned cyanotic, which is blue. She turned blue. And then at that point, he was like, okay, I guess I need to take her to the hospital. They take her to the hospital. She was put on a ventilator 4 hours after arriving in the hospital. And the thing is, the ventilator, look, you get COVID, you have to, not in the sense be like, I don't want you to put me on a ventilator. Generally, the point where you're going to be like, you'd be at a point where you really can't argue about being on a ventilator anymore anyway, because your O2 sat will be so low you can't advocate for yourself anymore. Basically, if you're in a state where you can advocate for yourself and you could stay on BiPAP, then that's what you should do. The ventilator is of absolute last resort. And that is advice that has been given to me by several medical professionals, because once you go on a ventilator, your odds are not good. She needs ECMO. And she's been transferred to Portland, and apparently she was able to get ECMO. When you get to a state where they're like, okay, we got to put you on ECMO, you have a greater than 80% chance of dying. That is the clinical criteria. And then the next thing that they look at is like, how old are you? How strong are you? How many years you got left in your odometer? It really gets to a cold clinical decision. Now, you're talking a 23-year-old who's married with a 6-month-old child. So, of course, the cold clinical decision is going to be, we are going to throw everything that we have at them. I mean, if I got it and they're looking like ECMO, I'm a healthy guy. I've got maybe 40 years left on my odometer, but they very well may look at it and just go, you know what? His wife is really successful. They've got means. All the kids are grown up. There's one that's 6 months done to college. I mean, it's that fucking clinical. And if it's like, do they give that machine to me or a 23-year-old mother with a 6-month-old? So anyway, she's on ECMO. If you go on ECMO, you got a 30% chance of getting off ECMO. That's it. And here's the other thing. There is no going back to normal. If you go on ECMO, there is no, I'm fine. And it's not an issue of COVID long hauler. You will have impact to your health for the rest of your life. Now, he's gotten vaccinated. How they didn't give it to the 6-month-old, I don't know. 9 days with them. The 6-month-old didn't pick it up. And of course, he said, well, now that this has happened, a lot of my friends around me are getting vaccinated. And there is a ton of data that are showing that people are getting vaccinated around the country. There is a ton of data that is showing this. Vaccinations are going up. The other thing that I've noticed on the internet, when I look at content, with content creators that are creating information that is either fighting against misinformation, making appeals for safety, making appeals to get vaccinated, explaining the cold hard facts on COVID, people who are doctors, nurses, clinicians, scientists. A year ago, if you went into the comments, don't read the comments. I read the comments. If you went into the comments, it was just a shit show. And you would see something and it would have thousands of likes and hundreds of comments. And you know what? I'm not seeing that. The people that are still screaming are really loud. They're really, really loud. They're barking little chihuahuas, but I'm seeing a lot more STFU or like, you're stupid, or no, this isn't true. And I'm seeing that those are the comments that are getting more likes at this point. Yes, that's exactly it. When you appeal to rationality, they double down on irrationality. And this has been the position of the political right for a long time, and they double down on crazy. I read something today. I think one of the mods put it on their Facebook page. Man, it slapped hard when I saw this. It's like, you claim it's a HIPAA violation for somebody to ask if you're vaccinated or to see your vaccination card, but you'll go to Planned Parenthood to photograph and document the people that are going in there, picture their license plates, put it up on the internet, and dox them for going into Planned Parenthood for reproductive health. But somehow that saved the children, and that's not a HIPAA violation. The hypocrisy is just stunning. Chuds. SPS, Seattle Public Schools. Yeah, I know. Peace, Mel. Chuds. They're like, oh, he's looking.
These are chuds.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Chud. It's a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
I don't have the button set up here. I totally have to put Studio 3 back together. I just haven't had the time to do it. All right, so what fruit are you... but exposing children to your COVID-19 breath... Yeah, exactly. What are my thoughts on HCW's police and first responders who refuse to get vaxxed? There are plenty of other companies. You know, what are they fond of saying? What are they fond of saying? Oh, you don't like your company's policy. You don't like the business's policy. You don't like your job telling you what to do. Well, then quit. Then just quit. Go find another job, loser. Or maybe you should just shut up. Why are you complaining? You should be grateful you have a job. Shouldn't you be grateful that you have a job? Why are you so ungrateful? You're just lazy. You're looking for an excuse not to work. You just don't want to work. That's what it is. You just want to live off the government. You want to find some reason to quit that job and get your food stamps and get your Section 8 housing and live off unemployment. Probably a lazy liberal. That's what you are. Because if you were like me, you just do your job. You just shut up and do your job. Because that's what a real man does. Real manly man. You're just lazy. So what I think? Same thing that I would say to a nurse who doesn't want, you know, there's plenty of jobs. I used to was saying that, you know, McDonald's is hiring, but McDonald's is going to require vaccinations. Burger King's hiring. They're hiring like crazy. Burger King especially, right? Because Burger King got a lot of people walking out. Dollar General, there are amazing job opportunities at Dollar General. So if you don't like it, just quit and go to work somewhere else. That will support what you feel and believe. Because at the end of the day, private business, I know you asked about government enterprises, private business, and if you work for a private ambulance service, they have every right to dictate business policy unless the business policy is discriminatory. We're discriminating against me if I don't get a vaccine. People who are unvaccinated are not a protected class. Now, a person who is not vaccinated because they have critical health issues, that's different. They are a protected class under the Americans with Disabilities Act. But if you're just a healthy, and a lot of them, right, God gave me an immunity system. Yeah, how exactly does that immunity system work with cancer? How exactly? You get cancer. What does that immunity system do? If you like break a bone and it's sticking out of your skin, like then what? Because you have an immunity system. The cells heal. What do you get burned? You get burned. You got like big second-degree burn all over your hand and arm. You're just like, I got an immunity system. Okay, idiots. It's just excuse after excuse. Dollar General hiring. Burger King's hiring. I'm sure Wendy's is a Subway. Lots of job opportunities at Subway. Tons of Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree's hiring. There are so many job opportunities. Millions of open jobs. So there you go. That is so wackadoodle. Love Jan. You see that? I didn't even know he snuck in. The cat's in here. So that's my view on it. It's pretty clear that the government entity at the level of the government entity has the right to set its policy. So in other words, I'm only using this analogy. The malcontent said that Kirkland's going to. I'm only using it as an analogy. If the city government in Kirkland says all firefighters must get vaccinated, the firefighters are going to have an uphill battle to kind of fight against that. Now, I say they have an uphill battle because when you look at things like firefighters, police, sometimes EMS, if EMS is separate from, usually it falls under the umbrella of fire departments in most communities, if they have a union contract, to be very candid, as much as like Mike Solon is just nails on a chalkboard to me, I feel Mike Solon actually may have a leg to stand on. Doesn't mean I agree with it. But I'm always very consistent in my values. People that watch me know that. And in the case of this was supposed to be negotiated with the police union, I hate to say it. I know people are going to be like, no, it can't. But yeah, I don't know what's in the contract that they have, but he very well may have a point. He may not, because it all depends, obviously, what's in that. I'm willing to bet that they probably do, just because the police union is the contract is so ridiculously onerous. This is a rabbit hole I will never climb out of again, on just how broken and corrupt the Seattle Police Department is. It is at a ridiculous level of corruption. Oh, Amy, and the funny thing is, like, the righties don't understand the constitutional process. There's an individual who's running for Senate in South Carolina in 2022, and somehow his tweet about Amy Barrett ended up on my feed. Like, very disappointed. She didn't even call in the rest of the court. She just made the decision arbitrarily by herself. And I'm like, yeah. And like my reply to him is like, so you're running for the U.S. Senate, but you don't understand how the Supreme Court works? I'm going to go out on a limb here, just spitballing it. Like, I literally wrote that, just spitballing it, that you're a Republican running for office in a red state. Because I actually didn't know what state. Sure enough, I looked it up. Yeah, he's a Republican running in South Carolina. He's so far up Donald Trump's ass, he takes the Big Macs that Donald Trump eats before he eats them. And this guy just doesn't understand basic things. If you don't understand why... I actually just hit the button by accident. It was totally by accident. If you don't understand what's going on, what happened there, the Supreme Court is not in session. So the students at the University of Indiana, all 8 of them, by the way, all 8 of them. That's it. They exhausted all of their options. So they went to the Supreme Court. Now, they're in District 7, and Amy Barrett oversees District 7. I believe if there's an emergency stuff for our district, we're District 9, I believe we get John Roberts. I think I just saw it really quick. I didn't have a lot of time to view that. And so when that happens, the Supreme Court justice, if they ask for an emergency ruling, they can decide, they can punt. So punt basically is, this isn't a matter for the Supreme Court. And then the lower court ruling stands. They can decide on their own. And then that's like the Supreme Court decided, the end. You've exhausted everything at that point. Or they could call the entire Supreme Court. We're going to go ahead and put this on the docket. If they do put that on the docket, then it goes on the list for when the Supreme Court meets. They just don't all of a sudden go run to the court because you have 8 self-entitled students who don't want to get a shot. They would take that, but they'll go to the hospital if they get sick to get the treatments. They'll go to the hospital anyway. So she didn't punt. She didn't kick it down to the docket. She decided, shut up and get the shot. At least she was consistent with her pro-life values. I'm no fan of her, but one thing I will say, and I don't want to run super over tonight. One thing I will say that as I get older and older and older, Supreme Court justice picks matter. They absolutely friggin' matter. The court is definitely more conservative than it was 30 years ago. However, John Roberts was supposed to be the end of the world. And John Roberts is actually a pretty good jurist. I would argue that John Roberts is almost right on the frickin' center. I think he's been one hell of a jurist. I'm really glad that he actually is the head justice, that he was made the head justice at the age that he was. I think that there is potential that he could be the head justice through my lifetime. And I think because you have him as the head justice, that there's a degree of sanity that rules. And really, at the end of the day, we haven't seen anything beyond Kavanaugh's first ruling, which was just a disaster. that was, filled with errors and people were just ripping it to pieces. Brett Kavanaugh looks like he got a free friggin' pass by the FBI to get into the Supreme Court. That's something for that's something for historians to talk about in 50 or 100 years. Antifa coming after Mal now after that take. The take on what? That SPOG may have a leg to stand on from a legal standpoint, that their union contract says that they can't be forced to get a vax. I think there may be some. On John Roberts. John Roberts, I think, is in the center. I think his decisions have been in the center. He's definitely made decisions where I'm just like, oh, for the love of God, you got to be kidding me. Just like, dude, it's right there in front of your face. But he is not the shit show that people thought he was going to be. You can't argue. I mean, he saved the ACA. He voted for ACA. Or did he vote against it? No, he voted for ACA. He voted against gay marriage. I get those two mixed up. Did he vote for ACA? Yeah, he voted for ACA, and he, got it. Sorry, I missed the sarcasm. Totally got it. Thank you for the clarification. Never seen the emote before. I know he voted for ACA, and he wrote the opinion, and he voted against gay marriage. I remember that. Yeah, exactly it. If it's in the contract, it's in the contract. Game over. But we don't know what's in the contract. I'm not even sure if the city council fully understands everything that's in that contract. So I think he might have a leg to stand on. I think this is part of the reason why we haven't seen Boeing, right? We've seen no announcement on Boeing or anything from the unions about mandatory vax or mandatory masking, which I find interesting because if we remember about a little more than a year ago, Boeing was insisting that the factories be shut down because COVID was running through the plants. So, that SPOG contract is so bad. And I don't know how you get out from under it. And this is why I say a lot of people would now define my view as an abolitionist. And I've said many times, my view is I think we still need a force for like when someone gets murdered or raped or right to do shit, like figure out who did it. And I think we need to have things for that. But I don't think we should be doing things like, pretext stops. Totally against this kind of bullshit. I don't think somebody who's got gun pepper spray should be showing up to a mental health call or a drug addiction call, or two neighbors arguing over a friggin' you parked 6 inches too close to my driveway things. We don't need armed officers for this stuff. And I don't buy for 1 second. Like I saw a story, response times for Seattle police now have bloated to 60 minutes. I don't believe for 1 second that the staffing issue is that bad. I don't believe for 1 friggin' second. Because I remind everybody listening to the sound of my voice, a year ago, almost to the day, the Seattle police could get 200, 250, 300 officers armed to the friggin' teeth. Like that. All you had to do was get a couple of hundred people chanting Black Lives Matter, and you would have an almost 1-to-1 ratio of police officers to protesters. Anybody who watched the stream on 8/16 would know that. So I don't buy it. I think they are purposely just kind of going, oh my God, there's a shooting. We need the police. I think it's like the South Park episode. Oh, but you want to defund us. We're working on our hula dance for the luau. Oh my God. I don't know if y'all know the South Park episode that I'm referencing, where Officer Bar Brady accidentally, I think he accidentally shoots like a Hispanic child, but he was basically told to shoot him. And then they blame him and Bar Brady gets fired. And they already have the Whole Foods and they have a huge homeless problem. It's so friggin' Seattle. This episode is Seattle. It's so spot friggin' on. It's ridiculous. ridiculous how much it slaps. That's what the cool kids said. It totally slaps. And like they're like, we need the police. There's all this. We're working on our hula dance, and I think that's exactly what they're doing. Big corporations are really toxic. That's why I went to consulting. I love consulting. I love it. And sometimes I've picked gigs with companies, and they've kind of, with all your experience and the body of work you've done, like, why do you want to do this? And I say much more eloquently than I'm going to say it right now, because I don't have to deal with corporate bullshit working at this level. If I work at this level, I know what's going on, and I don't have to worry about QBRs and senior vice president reviews. I just have to build your deck. Ursinate, I will tell you, there's some South Park episodes that have not aged well at all. There's some episodes that are just like, oh man, this is real cringe. This is real cringe now. It's like, I used to laugh at this, and it's like this isn't funny anymore. The whole shitty walk thing. The shitty walk's funny. You want shitty chicken. I've got to admit, that's funny, but the rest of it, I think it's Mr. Kim is his name, is just for God versus Clods that's one. The Gooback episode, that's really cringy. You know which one is cringy, but I'm going to admit right now that it's cringy, but I love it. I think it's funny, and I've watched it a few times, and I'm probably going to piss people off when I say this. The one where Butters is Montequila, which is, by the way, Spanish for butter. And they're playing, the South Park kids are playing Mexicans versus Texans. And Cartman is the leader, and they're having, in the backyard, they are trying to get over the border. And basically what happens is they get Cartman all upset. Cartman just starts ranting. And as he's ranting and not paying attention, they're coming over the fake wall in the backyard going, base, base. And they lose. So they're all inside. And, they're eating and they're having a pizza party. And then somebody says something like, it's like, yeah, wasn't it funny when Butters? And then everyone gets quiet. And they're like, it's cringy. Dora, it's cringy. And then everyone's like, oh my God, the Woodlands Critter Christmas is totally twisted. And they're like, where's Butters? And they're like, we don't know. And it's like, wasn't Butters with you? Like, no. And then they're like, we got to go find Butters. And then Cartman's like, no, the game's back on. And they're like, what do you mean the game's back on? You could have got Butters killed. He goes, you all had to get across the wall. You're not all across the wall. So then what happens is Butters ends up getting hit by a car. And this is where it gets a little weird. I don't know if he starts thinking he's a Mexican at that point, or he just doesn't because he's Butters and he doesn't want to tell the family that he's not. But then he tells the family, it's like, no, I want to go home. So Butters ends up in an El Pollo Loco, and he's like, I want to go home. And then somebody recognizes him. They're like, he's the kid on all the billboards, right? And so then they're like, home, they take it as Butters wants to go back to Mexico. And they're like, you know what? You're right. And this is why, Dora, I say that this is real cringy. It goes, they go, you know what? You're right. This country sucks. It sucks here now. America sucks. It's better in Mexico now. And so Butters leads this revolution of Mexican pride, both in Mexico and in the United States, and everybody leaving. And then the U.S. economy is like on the brink of collapse because all of the Mexicans are leaving the United States to go back to Mexico. So the Border Patrol is now trying to prevent people from Mexico from leaving the United States because we have plenty of good jobs and we need you to do them for us. And they're all just leaving. And eventually what happens is Butters becomes the leader of the, not the, like the spiritual leader, and they call him Montequila, which this is why I love this episode. I'm like, oh my God, Montequila is butter in Spanish. And they're having Dias de Montequila, the day of butter. You have to admit, the day of butter is hysterical. And then Butters decides he wants to come back to the United States. And then the punchline is they're all there. Cartman is lost. Cartman is mad as hell because they've lost now. He's all there, stuff like that. And Butters then Butters was like, yeah, I was a really good leader of the Mexicans. And like Kyler Stances goes, yeah, you were pretty good, but you're not really a leader, Butters. And they have this scene where Butters can kind of like do his things with his hands. So he just stands up and he does this thing with his hands, and they have the whole cheering thing going on. And then Butters kind of sits down with like a mic drop. I love how they've developed Butters as a character. And Dora, it's really cringy, but it puts in the audience's face, how poorly we treat immigrants in this country, how much we depend on undocumented workers. And the undocumented workers are leaving the places where the undocumented workers are abused by the system. They're leaving fast food, they're leaving restaurants, they're leaving the hospitals. Yeah, there's a lot of undocumented workers in American hospitals. Surprise, surprise. There's a lot. They're leaving the hospitals, and that is like a really, showing the dependency that we have on this. And of course, it is really wrapped in this, and a Cartman gets owned. And I love episodes where Cartman gets completely owned because Cartman is playing his Archie Bunker racist piece of shit card in this one. And, and it's on really, really hard. And this whole thing about, they're making the announcements as they're leaving, please don't leave the United States. There's plenty of jobs. Oh my God. Is Butters' birthday September 11th? Oh of course it is. Of course it is. The other one that I love is the informative murder porn episode. Holy crap. Informative murder porn. With Minecraft and medicinal fried chicken. Oh my God. If you have not seen the medicinal fried chicken episode of South Park, that one's going to age well. This one, that is like WKRP's in Cincinnati's turkey episode. You'll be able to watch that 50 years from now. Oh my God, the shake weight one's a good one too. Dora, I would love to get their feedback. Seriously, I would love to get their feedback if they think it's racist or art. I would totally love to see it. The shake weight episode is frickin', that one's pretty over the top. I think the thing that'll happen with shake weight is people won't know what the shake weight is in 10 or 20 years. Shake weight was developed at my alma mater. I love the people we have here. Randy Marsh as Lord. The Randy Marsh as Lord episode, right? The last 5 minutes of that, every now and then South Park gets real serious, real serious. And Randy Marsh's Lord is kind of one of their more serious episodes. Saddam in Hell is a classic. The way that they have like the musical montage at the end, and it's really a strong episode. The one where Is it where people are convinced like Craig and Butters are gay? Is it Craig and Butters? That's a very serious episode. That's a really again, they sprinkle in a comedy, but the message of tolerance for the LGBTQIA community in there is no subtext in that. And it's a really, really, why would it be a fruitcake? Yeah, where else were you going to send me? Detroit? All right, let's talk about fruits. I know we saw a strawberry. We have a fruitcake. Let's talk about fruits for a couple of minutes. We're going to wrap it up. The lice episode is hysterical. I love fruitcake, by the way. I love fruitcake. I do not like lima beans and Spam. All right, we got grapes, plums in the ice box. Ooh. Ursine just made plum sound sexy. No, Renee, I like fruitcake. I love fruitcake. Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent, we couldn't find fruitcake. We figured it must have been because of COVID last year, right? Supply chain issues. We couldn't find any fruitcake last year, and we were bummed. They're calorie bombs. Fruitcake is a ridiculous calorie bomb. So we just get kind of a small one and just kind of ration slice off there of Yule bread. All right, what else? What other fruits? If you could be a fruit, what fruit would you be? I saw strawberries, plums, grapes. And we got fruitcake. Strawberries are the bomb. We didn't get the joke. I would be the plums that were in the icebox, which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, I was delicious, so sweet and so cold. I guess I don't get it. I missed the joke. I'm sorry. I eat 3 cupcakes. Apple. There we go. We have apple, pomegranate. Dora wants to help Satan start dating Saddam. Lima beans are poisonous? By the way, I like lima beans. Kumquat, carry, kiwi. I used to eat kiwi all. That's actually one of the things that motivated this question. Kiwi is a fruit that I used to eat all the time, and I just realized to myself, it's like kiwi for me now is like whatever. God, 20 years ago, like rambutan. Whoa, there's an obscure fruit. There's a poem. Oh, boy. There's a lot of people who are allergic to kiwi. A lot of people. I guess if I had to be a fruit, I would be a freestone. Tomatoes are fruit. Yeah, you could be a tomato. I guess if I was going to be a fruit, I would be a freestone peach, specifically a freestone peach versus a cling peach. Peaches are amazing. And plus, when you have peaches, you can move out to the country. And you can be armored, like in class 4 body armor as a peach, because peaches come from a can. They were put there by a man in a factory downtown. Did you know that for avocado, that is the culinary gift to the planet from Guatemala? Avocados come from Guatemala. Turkish fig. Ooh. Catherine, I'm going to make you jealous. We have fresh figs downstairs in the kitchen. Trader Joe's sells a big-ass container of fresh figs right now. They're organic, and they're $5. It's over £1. It's a big container of figs. They're so friggin' good. Star fruit. Seriously, not joking on the song, I would eat peaches every friggin' day if I could. We eat so many peaches in the summertime, and we found a place to get amazing ones. Avocados start in Guatemala. That's what I was told in Nicaragua, unless they lied to me in Nicaragua. But they started. They're indigenous. Like if you go into Guatemala and you go in the jungle, there's avocados that grow in the jungle in Guatemala, and so indigenously that's where they started, and they have all these different varieties of avocados that they're like you're like, wait a minute, you mean I just thought there were like two, and they're like, oh no, there's tons of them, tons of different varieties, and we don't even see them in the United States. Catherine, I'm going to be sad if I watch this documentary. I'm going to find out that a bunch of abused people are treated awfully to get me my avocados. Rashi's going to move to the jungles of Guatemala. The other thing that just grows out there, Rashi, papaya just grows out there in the jungle. Bananas just grow out there in the jungle. I'm trying to think. So we saw avocado, papaya, bananas. Oh man, durian. I've smelled it, and I'm like, am I going to be depressed about avocados? Oh, I know. That's the thing. No ethical consumption under capitalism. I know. Yes, exactly. I do know that kiwi fruit do not come from New Zealand or Australia. That I do know. Bougie's in their avocado toast. That's the other thing. That's, people were asking me earlier, what if these people lose their jobs and they have to quit their job? They just need to cut back on their avocado toast. They need to stop going to Starbucks, and plenty of jobs out there. I don't even know how to respond to that, Roger. I don't even know how to respond to that. I love people who watch show. I'll close up on this. People who watch the show know I love Nicaragua. Love it. Love it as a country. Love the Nicaraguan people, and what's going on in there it's so sad, and I don't understand what's going on. The Ortega regime has no support really from Cuba. Cuba has no money to prop up the regime. They're getting no support from Venezuela. Venezuela's cut off any financial support there. Ortega is estimated to have stolen about $600 million US from the Nicaraguan people, has it scattered around in bank accounts. He's in ill health. I believe he's 75. His health is actually supposed to be pretty bad. His wife, who is worse than him, like people think he's a dictator. His wife is worse. She's 70, so she doesn't have a lot of miles on her odometer. There is no heir to parent that has been groomed to take over. Right now, the line of succession would be Ortega, then his wife, and then question mark. What I don't understand is that Daniel Ortega has enough money to go wherever the hell he wants at this point, and enjoy his last probably 5-ish years of reasonable being able to get around, and not have to put up with the day-to-day bullshit of running a country. He really has no influence on the world stage. China's not interested in building the canal that they had been talking about for years of building. That would connect from the Caribbean side through Lake Nicaragua over to the Pacific side, as it would be an alternate to the Panama Canal. China was going to do that. That project died. There was all this money to pave the Chocolate Road. It's really weird. You drive on the Chocolate Road. It's in the western part of the country. It's super wide. It's as wide as like a 4-lane highway, and it's just gravel. And then when you come to the bridges look like they were built like for the United States interstate system. There's these gorgeous bridges, and then right back to dilapidated gravel road. They were on the brink of getting like some loans from the World Bank, a ton of donated money to pave the entire Chocolate Road on the western side of the country. Would have done amazing things for tourism, amazing things for the economy, would have produced a ton of jobs within the country. And that, yeah, when all the stuff went down in 2018, they all backed out. And World Bank's like, you're not getting a friggin' penny, none of it. I just don't understand. There is a really brutal crackdown going on there. People are disappearing, thousands of people. There are more people from Nicaragua crossing the U.S. border than in the last 20 years now. And they're looking for political asylum. The lack of tourism has really hurt. 2 Category 5 hurricanes in the span of about 2 to 3 weeks was completely devastating on the Caribbean side of the coast. The other thing that is going on is thousands of Nicaraguans are fleeing into Costa Rica, and they are not going through the government checkpoints. They are going through what they call informal crossings. When we were in Nicaragua before the shit hit the fan there, and we were playing tourist, we were driving along the southern border heading north. And we actually like came to a military checkpoint. And of course, I'm just kind of like, okay, I didn't expect this. They're soldiers. They're like, and these aren't like pretend soldiers who want to rob us. These are like real soldiers with real guns. And our Spanish wasn't great, but we were kind of cobbled together that like, I don't know what their rank was because they don't wear like U.S. equivalent ranks. This kid, he was a kid, looked like he was 17 or 18. And basically he was told to check our papers. And the look on this kid's face was just like, I don't know why I'm being told to do this. I really want to do this. It's like, just, you're a couple of white people in a crappy car. I show him his pay. I don't even think he even really looked at our stuff. And he kind of just turned and looked, and then they just waved us through. And we were like, well, what the hell's with the military checkpoint here? It actually is close to one of these informal crossing areas. We were actually really close. The highway had gotten pretty close to the border of Costa Rica there, and we didn't know that. Anyway, that's why that checkpoint was there. So the people are just going across the border there. Costa Ricans, by the way, hate people from Nicaragua. They hate them. They have the whole United States thing. They're coming here. They're just taking all of our resources. They're taking the jobs. But the people that are fleeing the border over there, they're not looking for work. They're afraid they're going to get murdered. It's really, really bad on what's going down there. And it makes me really, really sad. I felt the same in the airport at San Jose. I felt the same way in the same airport. Yeah, Chip, we were talking about the smoke at the top of the show. The smoke's going to get a lot worse tonight and into tomorrow. And we'll start clearing out late on Friday. Saturday will still be, but it'll get better as the day progresses. Looks like we get some rain on Monday. We get a serious cool down on Sunday. We could kind of get back to normal. And it looks like we'll get rain on Monday. And of course, the rain will clean out any residual that's in the air. But yeah, the air's real crap. I felt the same way in the airport in San Jose. Lax checking of documents. Got it. Managua. The only thing they were sensitive was when we went there was all my camera gear. There were a fair number of questions in the camera gear. I got asked repeatedly if I had any drones. I'm like, I don't have any drones. And the thing was, at first, Dora helped me out here because apparently there's a Spanish word for drone, and it was just going right over my head when they were asking me. I'm like, do I have any what? Because they weren't saying drone. They were saying something else. I don't know what they were saying. and I just was, I was deer in the headlights. And I don't even know how we kind of figured out what they were asking for was if I had drones. And I'm like, nah, and I didn't have drones. Yeah, a lot to Costa. I don't know. Would that be the word? Drogas? Drogas? I will not comment publicly on everything that I have done in Nicaragua. I would like to be able to go back to the country one day. We'll just leave it at that. Which isn't to say that I wasn't but no, I went there with a ton of camera equipment when I was there. And people are so nice. The country is so beautiful. Oh my God, the country is so beautiful. San Juan del Sur on the Pacific coast, it's about 30 minutes away from where they filmed Survivor in Nicaragua. Yeah, they certainly weren't asking if I had drugs. People don't ask me that. Zumbido. Shelly, I wouldn't remember the word. I'm just wondering what the word would be. I just know they weren't saying drone. I know that. And it wasn't fotografa or was, it was, I was totally deer in the headlights. Like, I don't have any idea. I know you're asking me if I have. And I don't know. And I don't want to say see or no because I don't know what you're asking me. So, I'm an international super spy. So San Juan del Sur, about 30 minutes away from San Juan del Sur, is where they filmed Survivor Nicaragua. Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent and I actually went to that beach. We actually swam in the ocean there at that beach. And that was the total end of Survivor for me as a show. It was in that moment that I realized what a complete load of bullshit, which I already knew. Holy shit. Is the show Survivor complete bullshit. Forget the fact that civilization, like real we're talking restaurants. Don't think like United States restaurants. By the way, the scarier the restaurant looks in Nicaragua, the better the food. We started eating at some really sketch looking places, really sketch, and we was Deborah. He was right. I mean, he was part of the Contras. They pushed out the Sandinistas. The United States backed the Sandinistas. The Russians backed him. He was fighting against the puppet government the United States had put in, which was, in part to support the fruit growers. There's a lot of beef that comes out of Nicaragua. There's a lot of ranching there. So beef production. And so it's like the whole story down there in Latin America and the banana republics, and the United States was heavily involved militarily prior to kind of putting in this dictator that plunged everybody into a very bloody civil war. And one of the reasons that the people aren't in the streets killing each other in a civil war right now is a lot of the Nicaraguan people are still young enough to remember the times between the Sandinistas and the Contras, and and the fact that this was a country that was in some degree of military or internal conflict for literally 90 years. There's no appetite. The people have no appetite for it. But anyway, back to, it's Ortega, not Noriega. It's Ortega. Yeah, I saw Deborah saying I'm confused about Noriega. It's Ortega. Daniel Ortega. Anyway, back to Survivor. The beach, again, it isn't walking distance to civilization from the beach. It's like, oh, there's the restaurant. When we were there, you could hear music playing in the background. You literally just drive up to the beach. And it was 30 minutes to San Juan del Sur. You would be able to see the glow of the lights on the water if you looked north from there of San Juan del Sur. The way the land is set up, you wouldn't be able to see San Juan del Sur. At San Juan del Sur, it is small, but I mean, they have the Nicaraguan equivalent of a Walmart. The company there is owned by Walmart. Lots of restaurants, lots of bars, a little hospital, a lot of money. There's a lot of money in that town. Almost everybody is bilingual, which isn't the case in most of Nicaragua. But in San Juan del Sur, almost everybody speaks English and Spanish there. Menus will have, Costa Rican currency, U.S. dollar, on the menu. There's two prices. People with my skin color are going to pay a much different price than the locals, with the exception of beer. Everybody paid the same price for the beer. Beer there is $1. It's good beer. You can tell I've been thinking about leaving the country. Well, Dora, I'm beer for $1 USD, which is like a 30. It's 30. Is it pesos? Is Nicaraguan peso? I should remember. See, I'm having a total ADHD moment here right now. Cordoba. It's the Cordoba. That's what it is. It's about 30 Cordoba for a beer. And they have really good beer there. They have the two beers. There's Victoria Frost. That's one I really like. And Tona. That's the other one. Victoria Frost and Tona. Victoria Frost is a very light lager. It actually reminded me of Rolling Rock. I know some people who probably heard that are just like, holy shit, Rolling Rock sucks. And I have a feeling other people are hearing that. It's like, I like Rolling Rock. Tona has a little bit more bite to it. I wouldn't say it's like an IPA. It's also a little darker. Not like full-on IPA. We were not Tona fans. It's not we didn't like it. I think a lot of people would like it. But damn, I believe me, I could just sit and watch the sunset for a long time in San Juan del Sur and get hammered and fat drinking Victoria Frost and eating some of the best fruit I had for my life, which is probably why I went into Nicaragua, because of the whole fruit thing. Dory, you're not missing anything. I'm not a big fan of IPA. I'm like, they're okay. But yeah, it's the Nicaraguan Cordoba. So, oh my God, the Cordoba. Yeah, so a beer right now, one Nicaraguan Cordoba is worth about 3 cents. So right now, a beer in Nicaragua would cost you about 90 cents for a beer, a good beer. We eat some amazing meals for very, very little money. Average if you were to live there, you had a cuidador. A cuidador is a person that essentially, they're like a groundskeeper, but they live on your property. Because the thing is, if you don't have somebody on your property, people are just going to start stealing stuff off your property. So you'll have a cuidador. Now you're going to provide like an apartment to the cuidador that's furnished, and their electricity and their water and their bathroom and a kitchen and blah, 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 blah. But cuidador might be paid $250 a month, and that's really good pay in Nicaragua. I just like, oh my God, $250 a month with housing, and weekends basically are off. You're not knocking on the door at 11 o'clock at night going, unless like you've got some huge water leak or something. Oh, I love Modelo. I love Modelo. Love it, love it. And I love their TV. Their ads are amazing. Oh my God, their TV ads are so friggin' amazing. I think it's one of the best ad campaigns. First of all, I just love the song Ecstasy of Gold from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Anyway, audience is small. People are just listening to me rant. Corona's garbage. I won't drink Corona. Corona is trash. So is Patron. Patron tequila is trash. Manny's Pale Ale. See, I'm not into the whole. I'm not into that stuff. Yeah. Corona's trash. I won't drink Corona. I'll drink Pacifico. I'll drink Modelo. I love Modelo, and I love the Modelo Amber. Yeah, awful. So is Patron. Patron's garbage. Patron's friggin' overpriced gasoline in a bottle. Dos Equis Amber is good. Yes, I like Dos Equis. Y'all are my kind of people here. Okay, if Patron is trash, what tequila is good? I should have anticipated this question. I am not a tequila snob, but I'm probably going to horrify some people. But I'm just going to do the straight old Jose Cuervo Gold. And I think that's... I had a tequila... oh, God, that was like a year ago. I can't remember what the brand was. That was good. That stuff was really, really good. Sidewalk Connoisseur does not approve of the straight up. And by the way, I drink tequila, no training wheels. Renee knows this. She's seen this firsthand. I'll tell you what makes... I can't have rum. No way. 2 rum drinks, I'm running naked down the street screaming I'm the missing link. Hornitos is good. I like Hornitos. Hornitos is good. That's I would have that over Patron. Yeah, no rum. Oh God, no. No. I have stories. My younger days. Well, I don't know. I guess, what time is it? Oh, fuck, I've been going 2 hours. I'll have to save the rum story for another time. Patron is trash. That would be me now, Ilmarin. 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, 4. That would be me now. That wasn't me like 15 years ago. That wasn't me 15 years ago. My capacity to drink tequila was the stuff of legend 15 years ago. It just didn't really faze me. And I would just wake up in the morning and be functional. It was stunning. Now, rum, on the other hand, 2 rum drinks, I'm throwing my clothes off, running down the street, screaming I'm the missing link, wrestling some SPD officer to the ground, going, "Who's your daddy?" Wouldn't be good. No rum drinks for me.
Who's your daddy?
People are like, they'd like to see that. All right, and on that note, you told me to end on a happy note. So smoky tonight, smoky tomorrow. The smoke will probably be at its worst in the morning. The smoke will get worse overnight. Where are we at now? We can just go ahead and do a refresh. We'll do a refresh. It got a little better. We went from 127 to 120. It's actually gotten a little better. Yeah, that's exactly it. I just a very happy individual. Just become a very happy individual drinking tequila, and not anymore. I just can't. I'm just like, oh my God. Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent and I will split a bottle of wine over dinner at home, and I'm like, in the morning, I'm like, why did I do that? That's why I'm such a lightweight now. What the hell is this? This is what happens in second puberty. You hit second puberty, and all this other stuff starts going off big time. Oh, Dora, I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you're here still with us. I will neither confirm nor deny if I've ever drank to the level of blacking out in my lifetime. One of my best friends in the world, the first time he ever drank, he drank till he blacked out on Southern Comfort. He never, to this day, he does not drink. So I guess if you're going to do it, there's the way to do it. Because basically, he's just like, I don't want to ever experience this again. Yeah, I can't say that I've ever had, well, I guess that's not true. I have one little experience, but we will talk about that on the air. I have one little something. I can't prove anything. So, but that was a lifetime ago. Yeah, so it was pretty chewy out there. Rashi, there's a story that there's like 3 of us, if we ever got together and could collaborate and then not kill each other in the discussion because our politics have become so different, we could literally write a Hollywood movie script of a very good friend of mine who was getting married far too young. And we hijacked him for his bachelor party in Deep East Texas. And the drinking age was 21 in Texas. But at that time, the drinking age in Louisiana was 18 or 19. Maybe it was 18 still. And so we did this, like, what was going to be only a 3-hour drive, so that we could get everybody to a pretty famous bar in Louisiana. So that, then everybody could drink and celebrate this bachelor party in the right way. We got to the bar like at 6 a.m, 1 hour after it closed. Because there were so many little side adventures. I mean, this was like a real life Howard and Kumar go to White Castle, Texas edition. We could literally write a movie and people would pay money to see the shit that went down that night. It was just nuts. I'm so glad I had that life experience. All right, y'all. I know the mods are probably like, well, you just shut the fuck up. And I got a busy ass day tomorrow. I got a really busy ass day. I'm looking at something here. Give me a second because I have a feeling I'm just going to be like F my life here when I look at this. Yeah. Still don't have the flipping email from IT. Just, oh my God, it's going to be another morning. Pam, I'm real sorry. We got the AC. The funny thing is the cat's in here, so I think the cat is like, I don't want out. Normally the cat's like, I went outside. And the cat's totally chilling inside right now. So I have a feeling that the cat's kind of like, I don't want any part of that shit outside. All right, Malcontent. That's it. Everybody be good to each other. Malcontent out.
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events live as it happens.
Wait. We got breaking news. I'm real serious. Don't go. Come back. Come back. I got breaking news. The FDA has authorized COVID-19 booster shots for the immunocompromised. This is breaking news. FDA authorized COVID-19 booster shots for the immunocompromised. Breaking news. That's why I was like, let me just pop up on here right now. You're hearing it as I'm hearing it. Give me a minute. Oh, yeah, thank you for showing me your stupid pop-up ad. It affects 3% of Americans who are severely immunocompromised. People who are on medications or have diseases that suppress their immune system. Examples of disease: chronic lymphatic leukemia, organ transplant, people. Study published on Wednesday confirmed the benefit of the third dose in transplant patients. There is no mention on immunocompromised patients who got J&J. Boosters do not need to be given to the general public. Although predictions is expected to begin, protection is supposed to begin waning for 6 to 12 months. The vaccines are working contrary to that data. Sooner or later, everyone is likely to need a booster shot, Dr. Fauci said on Thursday. But apart from the immunocompromised, we do not believe that others, elderly or non-elderly, need a vaccine at this moment. So there you go. That's like breaking news. Just came down. Dora didn't say. I don't know. Matt Gaetz is kind of MIA on the public stage. 2 Hawaii tourists have been arrested for presenting fake COVID vaccine cards. They face felony federal charges for falsifying a government document, 1 year in jail, $5,000 fine. See if there's anything else. Yeah, this is the big news. I just glanced over, oh, wait a minute. Here we got a story out of Florida with governor death sentence. 400 students in Palm Beach County, Florida, have been required to quarantine. 2 days in, they've been at school 2 days. 400 students are in quarantine for either having coronavirus or being 51 students and staff have tested positive for COVID-19 in the first day of school. 400, telling you, they want the school systems to collapse. So that's breaking news out of Florida. My Pillow CEO election fraud proof implodes in front of a live audience. Yes, it did. We already talked about that. We talked about Jen Psaki. Editorial, whatever. Oh, yeah. There's this woman. I don't know if you've seen this. This woman's in trouble. We linked to this either on our Facebook page or our Twitter page. I don't know if you've seen this stuff out of Mesa County, Colorado. She's in huge trouble. She's in really big trouble. We found your voter fraud. Mike Lindell did expose voter fraud in Colorado. And this was in Mesa County. Mesa County Clerk Tina M. Peters Republican, apparently was so stupid that she didn't realize the security protocols that Dominion puts in their machines. And she apparently took and shared pictures of the BIOS passwords to kind of go like, see, this is how easy you get in the system. The BIOS passwords are for your eyes only. They are unique to the device and the individual. So she took a picture of it. Somebody put the passcode on social media. That passcode will literally only work on the counting machine in her friggin' office. And it was her unique password. So and basically she did this to give it to Mike Lindell to go, here, I've just given you the password to all the voting Dominion machines, which wasn't the case. But she has now exposed herself, and they're finding potentially other stuff that's happened in Mesa County where she changed a lot of Joe Biden votes. Yeah, go look it up. It's a shit show there in Mason County. Oh, this is interesting. College GOP group is denounced for this guy is the guy that they're denouncing is a TikTok creator that I actually follow. And some college GOP group roasted him because he was essentially like, I have PTSD and this is what he does his things on, and yeah, it's gone, making fun of veterans went about as well as you thought. I think that's it. Yeah, check out the Mesa County thing. But the big news, which we came back, oh my God, we got another one. Ted Cruz is mad. Ted Cruz is mad that he has been called out for putting his kids in private school where they require masks. He's very mad. This is the media's fault. So it's the media's fault. Oh. Well, this is another one here. Here's another little story from the party of, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. Former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman, State Rep Tim Ramthun, and Wisconsin Election Commissioners member Bob Spindell were all in South Dakota at the disaster of the MyPillow thing. And they went there on taxpayer money. They went there on taxpayer money. Okay. Anyway, there you go. It's all a deep state ploy. It's the deep state. Okay, as I said, booster shots for the immunocompromised approved. That's the big news. Now we're going to call it a night. Bye.
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontents Antifa, fuck you!
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.